Good evening, everybody. This is your final lecture for Research Methods in Wargaming. This week we are going to talk about two things. Case studies and the final draft of the Homeland Security issue analysis. Throughout the term, you've submitted various pieces of work to contribute towards the final draft of your Homeland Security issue analysis. These pieces of work are going to literally be cut and pasted together and form kind of the core, the first draft of your analysis. That's why I've been so adamant about writing style and grammar, etc. This week you're tasked also with a case study. Let's go ahead and address case studies first. Case studies are examples of real-world applications of theoretical principles, theories, and ideas. Since they're applications of this material, which is already documented in the earlier part of the work, they tend to be shorter in length. Most works, dissertations, these are very, very close to the end. For example, say you're talking about infrastructure security, and you have a theory about infrastructure security that we need more armed guards, different types of armed guards, more surveillance. That's your thesis. What you would do is you would show an example of how that could have prevented an infrastructure attack, or it could aid in infrastructure security. They're examples of real-world applications of theoretical principles, of theories, and ideas. Researchers use them to test your work. This is the example of what you have said in your thesis. And again, it's fitting for them to customarily come after everything but the conclusion of a research manuscript, and they will be shorter. There's not a whole lot of theoretical meat to them. They're simply an example. You've done all that heavy lifting in your lit review. You've done all that heavy lifting in your thesis. Now, for the assignment for this week, throughout the term, you've also had various pieces of works that contribute to this end draft. This week, we're going to tie them all together. So when you finish with your case study, here's what you're going to do. To assemble the draft of your final paper, open the document you want submitted and rename it draft, followed by your initials and the date. For the rest of the discussion, this will be known as a draft. First, you cut and paste topic, your topic from week 1, that first essay that you sent in. Next, you're going to go ahead and cut and paste your research question and thesis from week 2 right after it. Then you're going to go ahead, open up your peer-reviewed lit review, cut and paste that right after your research question and thesis. Then you're going to cut and paste your wargaming report right after the lit review. Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to cut and paste the case study right after it. Now you have a rough draft. This is not completed, but it's a rough draft. There is still some work to be done. You're going to want to read it through. Make sure you don't have a bunch of duplicate information. Make sure that there's transitions. You're going to have to convert the work from weeks 1 and 2, which is your topic, your research question, and your thesis, into a coherent introduction. The last part of your introduction is always a pathway paragraph, which explains the layout of your paper. That would mean essentially you say, following this introduction, there is a review of literature. Following this review of literature, there is a wargaming report or a wargaming summary. And following that, there is a case study. Again, this is a single paragraph that kind of establishes and tells the reader what's coming next. It should all read like a single manuscript, not 6 weeks of smaller work. So keep that in mind when you read through your draft, to make sure that there is cohesion and flow. You will have to make some changes and rewrite some sentences. That's all right. That's what you do to a draft. I had one professor tell me that writing is the easy part. Editing is what is really difficult, and it's what separates good papers from great papers. After you're happy with the draft, write a conclusion that thoroughly mirrors your introduction. You can add specific references to what is in the body of your work, then read it again. Make any changes you feel are necessary. After this final step, cut and paste your annotated bibliography from week 4 after your conclusion. Your annotated bibliography should be the last thing. Your rough draft is now ready to be submitted. Email it to your instructor by Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. Your instructor will return it to you by Friday at 11:59 p.m. This allows 2 days for you to make corrections and ask questions. The final draft is due by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. If you have any questions at any time, feel free to contact me.